What's going on, my good people? This your boy Lop Up the Entertainer, here to bring you some action with Fort Valley State University. This is me grading their field shows for me to give them the official record for the season. I think this is going to be interesting to watch. You know, one thing I like about Fort Valley is that they really take their time to really showcase their talent. You know, they have a little bit of everything. They are very balanced in a lot of things. Like, I can't say that they struggle in one department or anything. They pretty much well-rounded all the way around. You know, it's a well-rounded band. That's one thing I like about this band the most, is that they very well-rounded. Either this in the book, or sometimes, you know, they do real good on the field show. So it just depends, you know. But I really enjoy watching them. They definitely have a strong book. You know, they can go toe-to-toe with a lot of good bands. One thing I would say before we get started, this is going into a tier list, and so this is going to help me determine who was the top band in their division. Okay, so with that being said, you know, if you want to be a part of this family and find out where they stack up in the tier list, please be a part of this family. Please consider liking and subscribing. Be a part of this family, because that's what it's about. It's nothing but love here, and you know, I want to see all HBCU bands succeed. Okay, and this information is not an official final statement, but everybody has their own opinion. But this is why y'all clicked on the video. Y'all wanted to get my honest opinion on this. Okay, so I'm going to grade the halftime performances. Okay, so please look to the cards next to me so you know what we'll be grading. We're going to be grading entrance, songs, formation, dancers, breakdown. Okay? Maximum points they can make in that is 25. I have a credit department, which gives them some extra incentive depending on what they do. So if they do something death-defying or something unique on the field, I'll give them that extra flex, you know, and that would carry them. Okay? So in order for them to get a dub on their record, as you see below, that we saw previously, if they're able to get at least a perfect field show, so if they got a 5 in all those categories besides creative, I will give them a W on their name. Okay? If not, they have a chance to redeem themselves. If they at least get a 27 with creative, I will give them a W on their name. Okay? But not all bands will receive that. Some bands do, some bands don't. But you know, I'm excited to see where they stack on this. Okay? So again, ladies and gentlemen, please do not get in your feelings about these grades. This is just my opinion. You know, if you feel like they did great, that's on you. That's your opinion. But this is my opinion. Okay? And I have seen a lot of bands perform. So this is me giving my honest opinion and me being direct about them. Okay? So with that being said, I did enough rambling. Let's get into the action. There was 2 performances I didn't grade. This was the Kentucky State University one when they went against Kentucky, and there's another one when they did homecoming. I didn't grade that one, but I pretty much graded majority of their season, and they've been doing. It was a pretty even season for them. So let's see how they stack up with this. Okay, let's get to it.
The wait is over. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of alumni, faculty, staff, and friends, we proudly present to you the 2024 edition of the Fort Valley State University Machine Marching Band, aka the sound and the field. The field is yours.
Pretty clean so far. 5 issues. Made to 5 issues. Some step off issues as well. Ooh.
Now the Blue Machine will get ready to perform My Boo by Ursha, directed by the arranger, Mr. Detron Hammond.
You got one time?
Okay, was pretty.
Say power, y'all. When you lose control, the Wildcats take control.
Ooh, it's just some 85 issues there. We getting close to the end of the field show too, so they got it right.
Say yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. What y'all know about that good good, y'all? Forever, y'all. Can't get no better, y'all. Oh yeah, keep it to the niggas.
Alright, let's give that a grade. Alright. Let's give that a grade. Alright, so creative, I'm going to give them a 3. Entrance, I'm going to give them a 5. Songs, I'm going to give them a 5. Dancers, I'm going to give them a 5. Breakdown, I'm going to give them a 4. Formations, I'm going to give them a 2. Alright, so let me explain why those grades and I'm going to give a grade. Alright, so when we look at formations, people were not marching 8 to 5 to get to that destination. I mean, look, I want to explain something to you. When you marching in a line, okay, that's a formation. So if a formation is supposed to look straight, that's your formation, right? So if you got a snake on the field at the bottom or the middle, at the top, that's not what that line is intended to look like. So yes, I docked them on that. Okay, and they didn't do it just once; they did it throughout the whole field show. So that's why I gave them a 2. All right. Now when we look at breakdown, I feel as if they had the substance. I just wish I really hope that they would have put more energy in it, if that makes sense. If they would have put more energy, I hope they would have done that, but they didn't do that. And, you know, I kind of wanted them to put more energy. It's kind of like they were just going through the motions, if that makes sense. You know, and so I think that's what kind of hurt them on that. But there was just 1 point away from getting a perfect 5 with that one. But, you know, every other category is pretty straight. When we look at the creative, they had some creative moments. The drum mate just really sealed the deal with them for their creativity. But besides that, that was it. So let's give that a grade. Alrighty, so they got a 24. A 24. Alrighty, now granted, this was like in the beginning of the season, so I don't, you know, bands grow over time. So, I don't know what that looks like later, but I'm gonna give my fair honest opinion. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. They still got the same record. So let's see if they got one more chance to redeem themselves to see if they can get a dub on their name. All right. So if y'all made it this far in the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It means so much to me. Okay. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please do not get in y'all feelings about these grades. I'm coming from a fair and honest heart. This is not me bashing the band organization or anything like that. This is me just trying to educate others or educate fellow bandsmen on what they can work on. Same thing with band programs. Band programs can see this and they can work on those particular things to fine-tune their band so they can look more presentable. Okay? So, with that being said, I did enough rambling. Let's get into the next one. This is our last field show. This is their homecoming. Okay? So I'm excited to see what they got for this one. Like this is going to be a short halftime. So I'm excited to see what they're going to bring for this. Alright, let's get to it. Media team had fun with this one, didn't they? Everybody got their knees up. Gotta follow the leader drill. Gotta make sure they get their knees up in here. It looks pretty good so far. Yeah, the homeboy walking in it. I like how they're in the middle of the band. That's pretty dope. get that a grade. Alright. So I'm going to give them a 3 in creative. Entrance, I want to give them a 5. Songs, I want to give them a 5. Formations, I'm going to give them a 4. Okay. Dancers, I'm going to give them a 5. Breakdown, I'm going to give them a 3. Alright. So, let me give that a grade and we're going to talk about it, okay? So, they got a 25. A 25. They missed it by 2 points that time. Alright, so let me explain my grades. Alright, so when we look at formations, it was a short drill from what I can get, but you know, when you do a follow the leader drill, you got to pick your knees up. I'm very particular on that. And for the majority, it looked good. But see, when they did a close-up, I saw somebody who literally was just walking. Literally just walking. Alright, so that hurt them. You gotta remember, y'all marching band, so I'm expecting to see them to ease up. Alright, the next one I want to say is the breakdown. Breakdown, it was not together. It was not together. It was some people out there kind of guessing. Some people was halfway going through the motions, but the band didn't seem too confident with those dance moves that was presented. Okay, I just think that was I think that was a missed opportunity, and I get that it's homecoming week. You know, things are rushed, and it's 6 minutes, close to 7 minutes, you know, in between. So I just feel as if they kind of missed the mark on that. Okay, but you know, when we look into that, you know, I just think that, you know, that's one of those things that they just missed the mark on. You know, with this season, yes, it was a well all-around band. They was well. But I think one of their weaknesses was the field this year. But they knew how to put on the show. I just think that sometimes that can kind of hurt them also. You know, that, you know, that's not me nitpicking on them too much. It's just the honest truth, you know. It's not me bashing them. I just think, you know, that just needs to be helped on or needs some more work on in that department. But overall, they had a great season. I mean, they had a real good season. I enjoyed really watching them. What I really got the most thrills out of Fort Valley watching them this season was them going against Albany. That was a tight season. So if y'all want to see that video, please look up to the video ahead of me. Above me, y'all can check that out. But it was a real good video. You know, not only that, but they also had some other things that they did. Like they put their work on that field in certain battles. You know, and also when it comes down to that book, they booked it some serious too. They got a vicious book. They got a vicious book. So you know, they had a cool season. They had a real cool season. Very tight season, but cool season overall. But wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, this is the official record for the season. Okay, so you know, again, there was some hit and misses in here, but I really enjoyed watching this content for them, and I did really enjoy watching them for 2024. Again, like I said, I think one thing I like about Fort Valley's band is watching them do their fifth quarters. You know, they really bring that energy in the fifth quarter. You know, halftime, you know, they got to do some more work, but, you know, it is what it is. But I really appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing y'all boys some love for the day, man. Means so much to me. All right? So, with that being said, if y'all made it to the end of this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you disagree with me, that's okay too, you know. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's nothing but love here, man. But, I'm finna get up out of here, man, and like I tell y'all always, deuces.